Hi, I'm Dara Dietz, and today I want to talk a little about adrenals. Those two little glands that are sitting right on top of your kidneys. They have everything to do with how well you feel, whether you have energy, pretty much the quality of your life, along with your thyroid gland. If your thyroid's low functioning, you'll feel pretty run down also. But the adrenals, if the adrenals cease to function, you cease to live. So we need to know how to protect, to revitalize, rejuvenate, and restore the adrenals naturally. Other things that you might want to look at are just overall exhaustion, loss of appetite, gastric issues, all of these things, just an overall worn, run-down feeling. Another thing that is very telling is you cannot take excitement or drama at all, whether it's good or bad. Any type of drama is just going to wipe you out. No matter how happy, no matter how sad, you're toast. You cannot take emotional drama. That is all with the adrenals, supports that, and when the adrenals are exhausted, you just can't take anything. So if you find yourself feeling run down, unable to cope, just exhaustion, it might be time to just take and do a good, strong rebuilding program for the adrenals. Okay, let's look at what we can do, or what the master herb is for the adrenals. Over the years, you've heard me talk about a master herb in nature for every function and every organ of the body. Well, there's quite a few that support the adrenals or whatever, but the herb that feeds the adrenals is licorice root. Licorice root contains cortisol, which is a steroid, a natural steroid that will actually feed the adrenals without the adrenals having to produce anything to be fed. Normally, if you are in adrenal exhaustion, you need to cut all sweet, all the flavors of sweet, all of that out of your food program or way down low. The adrenals have to work quite hard to absorb and utilize even the good fruits, even the good natural sugars, which should not be cut out of the food program. But in the case of adrenal exhaustion, where you're trying to shore them up and rebuild them, you don't want to overtax them by making them have to produce all that support to get those digested. So you will probably want to make your diet more savory than sweet. All the good vegetables, the high quality proteins, your nuts, your seeds, your legumes, these kinds of proteins, and then your vegetables should be the main part of your food program when you're rebuilding your adrenals. A good herbal supplement for the adrenals would be one that has herbals in it that help with energy. Your ginsengs, your kelp. The kelps feed the thyroid. The master herbs that you would want to form this one around would be mullein and lobelia. Mullein and lobelia are your master glandular herbs. They feed the whole glandular system. So any formula that you are going to put together for any of the glands would be built around the mullein and lobelia combination. You need to feed the adrenals with licorice and hawthorn berries. Hawthorn contains a natural adrenaline, and of course licorice root contains cortisol, a steroid that feeds the adrenal glands without the adrenal glands needing to produce or do any work whatsoever to be fed and to absorb that. So with these two herbs being used, and the adrenals want to be fed every 5 hours. Every 5 hours, the adrenals need a meal. So and I would say every 5 waking hours. If you are in really serious adrenal exhaustion, you may need to do every 5 hours all the time, including the night hours. But for regular person just wanting to shore up or to rejuvenate or whatever, every 5 waking hours, you would want to make sure that the adrenals get a meal, that they get fed something. So a cup of licorice root and hawthorn tea would be excellent food for the adrenals. Now this is just to feed the adrenals. And when they're fed, then of course the energy in them can go into rebuilding, strengthening, and restoring, which would be where a good adrenal formula would come in, which you would not want to put your licorice root and your hawthorn. Well, the hawthorn could go into it, but you wouldn't want to put your licorice root into the adrenal formula, because you want to specifically feed that one as needed and not have it in the formula. So a good formula for rebuilding and supporting the adrenals would be fashioned around the mullein and lobelia, where when you're going to feed the adrenals, you would want the licorice root and the hawthorn. So those are the really good herbal supports for rebuilding and rejuvenating the adrenal. I should say that whenever you are restoring, repairing, rebuilding any area in your body, you need to have the foundational programs in place. And those foundational programs are, of course, your bowel cleansing, making sure that your bowels are moving and that you're keeping the waste moving out of you. If you're recycling that waste, it's only going to exacerbate any issue in your body, because the toxins are going to be reabsorbed into wherever you're trying to get them out of. So you're defeating your purpose. Keep the bowels moving. You'll want to do an ELF, liver flush, every once in a while, maybe once a week or whatever, depending on how serious the condition is. You want to keep the liver open and moving, keep the bowels open and moving. This is all part of the foundational programs, just to keep the body cleared of waste. The other 2 parts of the foundational program, of course, are your echinacea. You need to boost your immune system. Make sure that you have the white cells to attach to each piece of waste so it can be neutralized and removed from the body. It doesn't do any good to do all the healing herbs and all the cleansing herbs and all that if you're just going to have to reabsorb it all, because you don't have enough immune cells to neutralize and process the waste on out. So keeping your immune system boosted, a good way to do that would be an ounce a day of echinacea 4 days a week on a basic cleansing program. If you're doing a program to rebuild, restore, and it's a serious issue, you may want to go up to 6 days a week, taking an ounce of echinacea 6 days each week. This would be for more serious conditions. You would start right in at 6 days a week for just basic cleansing, 4 days a week. And if you seem to need more, if you start having cleansing crises or whatever, go ahead and do 6 days a week. This is going to enable your immune system to keep up with the waste. And whenever you're doing your boosting with your echinacea, of course you need to support this, and that's where the 3rd part of the foundational programs comes in, and that is your food program. So whenever you are doing boosting with echinacea, doing a cleansing healing program, you want to be doing between 16 and 32 ounces a day of carrot juice. Now carrots are high in sugar, so this would be one of those things that is going to be enough support to where you're going to want to do it. You're going to want to drink that carrot juice. The beta carotene in carrot juice converts to vitamin A in the body, and vitamin A is what your immune system is produced from, it's built from. So you do want to get the nutrients in that you need, and it's important to support the work that you're doing. That said, I would not in addition to it, for serious cases of adrenal insufficiency, adrenal failure, I would not be drinking apple juice on top of the carrot juice and all that. I would stick with vegetable drinks. Carrots, yes, they are high in sugar. And somebody with diabetes or issues like that, you may need to water down your carrot juice, and instead of doing 16 to 32 ounces a day, you may have to start with 4 or 6 or 8 ounces a day until your blood sugar gets leveled out. You do what's needed for the issues that you're dealing with. So those are the foundational programs, in very briefly said here. I have other videos where I go more into detail on the different programs. But that would be the foundational program as applied to rebuilding the adrenals. The other thing that we need to look at is the fact that where there's adrenal failure, there is often a strong link with hypoglycemia. And hypoglycemics tend to have an issue feeding themselves. They're craving sugar and protein. And those are two of the hardest things for the adrenals. The adrenals have to work really hard to absorb and utilize sugars and proteins. So you want to use only the highest quality proteins and only the natural sugars, the fruits, the carrots, things like this that are high in sugar content, only as they are very needed for sustaining your food program and the work that you're doing in your body. So be aware that as a hypoglycemic, you are going to be craving and wanting the sweets and the proteins, and of course the weight issues and all that that goes along with the hypoglycemia is something that needs to be dealt with. The other master herb for weight, whether you're underweight or overweight, is alfalfa. Alfalfa capsules, alfalfa powder. It is so high in protein, it takes the cravings for carbs away, because when you're craving foods, your body is actually asking for nutrients and nutrition, and we tend to feed it junk and not listen to what it really wants. When you consume the high quality foods and all that, your cravings are going to go away. And the high protein, the high nutrients in the alfalfa tend to satisfy those cravings. So I have used alfalfa and the weight loss formula with great success to curb the cravings and just to shore up the weight loss issues that I myself have had to deal with. Okay, so let's kind of look at what a day is going to look like with a good adrenal support program using the herbal supports and all that. I would suggest that you do an adrenal formula 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night. Use a good adrenal formula. And then also your licorice root and hawthorn 3 times a day would be good. And I've also found, and this was suggested by one of our nurse practitioners, very holistic lady who knows quite a bit about the adrenal issues, that you add 3,000 milligrams of vitamin C to your program 3 times a day when you are dealing with serious adrenal issues. So a good vitamin C supplement 3 times a day, along with your adrenal support and your adrenal food. Then of course, using your echinacea, you can do that once a day, an ounce a day, 1 time a day. And then your nutritional support, your superfood, and your vegetable juices, and a good food program with your high quality proteins in your vegetables. So that is pretty much what your program is going to look like. For the time of day when you have those energy drops, for me it was always in the afternoon. At sometime between 2 and 4 or 6, I would start feeling really low and just worn out. I found that I could take 4 tablespoons of the superfood in a glass of vegetable juice and it was just like somebody shot me full of energy, and I was good to go for the rest of the day. So the energy that I would get from this would just be huge. I mean, it would just pick me back up. 4 tablespoons, the normal dose is 2 tablespoons. And I found doubling that would just send my energy through the roof, which is wonderful. For shoring up the afternoons, take another dose, a big dose of your superfood with your vegetable juice. You can use kelp capsules in addition to that. Kelp is going to feed the thyroid, which is just going to help stimulate a natural energy, which is not going to put a stress on the adrenal. One thing that needs to be understood is the glandular system rises and falls together. So when one of the glands is compromised, the adrenal gland, when that one's compromised, it's going to throw a heavier load onto the other glands, your thyroid, your hypothalamus, the sex glands, all of these things, and it's going to put a weight on them, and they're going to have to carry more of a load, and they're going to start going down. So you want to do any of the herbal supports to shore up the whole endocrine system. That is important to remember, that when one goes down, they all go down. Women will need to use some sort of herbal hormonal support. Supporting the female function is going to raise the quality of life on many, many levels. So a good female formula is essential for women with adrenal issues. All right, well, to summarize the adrenal program, a good adrenal support program, you will want to support the adrenals with the licorice root and the hawthorn to feed them, a good adrenal formula to help rebuild them, and to support the whole endocrine system. The different parts of the endocrine system will need to be addressed independently. There are herbal supports for each one of them, and if and when they begin to show stress, you will need to and want to support them also. Our informational website is ladyofherbs.com, and there are information sheets available on that website.